Out of all of the brands of hard gel that I have, these two are going to be the thickest viscosity that don't move. So let's move these two out of the way. So when it comes to a gel like this, the first thing you really want to do is, I like to take a tiny little slip layer. Doesn't matter what kind of gel you're working with, I always take a little slip layer. A slip layer is going to tell the gel where you're going, and it will know where to move. It will know where to stay on the nail, especially if it's a self-leveling gel. Now you can see on the brush that the gel is not going anywhere and it's not going to move. So what I like to do is I take the gel and I roll it off of my brush. Now, if we're going to pretend if this is the client's nail, I never put the gel all the way back towards the client's proximal nail fold, or as some people call it, the cuticle. I will push the gel back in that area, but I never fully apply the gel back in there. So that way, if this is a self-leveling gel, it's not going to flood your proximal nail fold or your side walls. So what we are going to do is when I go to push, you can see now the gel is going back in that area. So we're going to lightly push, and as we push, then the gel is going to go in the direction that I want it to go in. Now, say we got it there, now we're going to pull. But as I do that, can you see I'm working with the tip of my brush, but I'm also working with the belly of my brush. Like this. And I'm going to pull the gel down while still keeping contact with the gel. And I'm going back and forth to the end. Okay. Now, since this is a thicker gel, it's okay. Wipe the brush off. Now, you need to fill in all of these areas. Take your brush, lightly move it around, and just work the gel into those gaps. Now, if this was a client and this brush is too big, work with a thinner brush, say like a liner brush, and then you can really get into those tighter gaps a lot easier. And since this is a thicker gel and it's not going to self-level, you have a lot more time to move and manipulate everything how you want it in place before you put it into the lamp. That's why I like to say these gels are more beginner friendly. As you see, when I've been working either with the tip of my brush or with the belly of my brush, but never back here. Always here or here with my brush. But that is how I apply the gel, like a nice, thick, hard gel. I hope that helps. When you are applying hard gel, First off, you want to start with a slip layer. Now, my nail plate is not prepped. That is okay, because when I'm done, I'm literally just going to remove this, and I'm not keeping this. So after you're done applying your slip layer, you're going to go back into your jar. You're going to grab a bigger bead. Okay. This is my tip. When you're applying the gel on the nail, let the gel and the product do the work for you. Now, if you can see with my brush, if I turn my nail this way, I do not have a lot of pressure with the product and my brush. I'm only using the tip of the brush. I see a lot of nail techs, when they're applying hard gel, they do this with the brush, and they apply too much pressure. That's too much pressure you're applying with the brush. When you do that, you're going to get air bubbles, and the product is going to come out lumpy. Okay? Doesn't matter if the gel is a thin viscosity to a thick viscosity. You don't need to apply that much pressure. Now, before you put your hand in the lamp to see how well the product has laid out, you're going to look at what we call your line of light. So here's another tip. That reflection in the lamp, see this wobbly line? That means my line is imperfect. But if I go here, that line of light is now straight. So let the brush and the product do the work. Don't apply too much pressure with your brush. As long as the product stays in contact with the brush, let it do the work for you. I hope that helps. Let's talk about your line of light. So real quick, I have a small thing of hard gel from Profiles Backstage on my nail. I'm going to be using 2 different brushes for this. So after you apply the gel onto the nail, and we know it doesn't look perfect, I'm purposely doing that for the video. But if you look in, this is where I'm going to switch to, I like to switch to a liner brush. This reflection in the gel, that clear, that white line, that is what we call your line of light. So if you're working on the nails and that line of light is off and it's wobbly, I will go in and I will move the gel around to fix that line of light and let that self-level back out. And you can see now that line of light is fixing itself. If I need to fix it more, then I'll just take that product wherever that little bump is and keep fixing it until it straightens out. So that is what we call our line of light. So you can see how this one is nice and straight. Then when we go around, you still have that straight line of light. But that's how you can tell if there's any dips or bumps in the extension or in the gel overlay that you're doing. Is from those tiny, little teeny bumps in your line of light. So sometimes you have to work with that gel a little bit more to just straighten that out and fix it. And then once everything is fixed, then that is when you can put your nail in the lamp and give that a full cure. See, and then this one goes this way, so I'd have to fix that even more. but that is what your line of lay is. And your line of light can happen no matter what type of nail product you are using.